What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel. Now today, I thought I would do something just a little bit different, and that is bringing you some thoughts and predictions on the new DLC coming to Pokemon Sword and Shield. So before we get started, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you are new. Also leave a comment down below on what you would like to see in the future on this channel. We recently posted our 150th video, and I can't wait to post the next 150 and more. I figured now would be a great time to discuss the topic with the recent Direct Mini that covered a little bit more about Part 1, and so let's go ahead and see what information is out there and what also might be hidden up ahead. So Pokemon Sword and Shield were met with a lot of controversy even before they released, from the deletion of half the Pokemon to the way the graphics looked. I'm looking at you, Tree. But the controversy kind of died down once the game released. I mean, you know, it's not perfect, but it is a cool introduction to what Pokemon can be on the Switch. So once it released, it left a lot of people wondering, what's next? Is it Ultra Sword? Is it Gen 4 remakes? Which is kind of what I was pushing for. But in January we got the answers, and that is with the announcement of the expansion pass. Pokemon is now doing something that they've never done before, and that's adding an entire expansion to the story via a download. Now normally what they do is all of the data that is ever going to be in a game is already there on release, and they just then give it to you later in the process at some point. That usually has to do with mythicals, or it is special items. You know, think Hoopa with its bottle. But this now shows that Pokemon can add a lot more content at once over download, which is pretty cool to think of just how far we've come with that. And it also makes sure that we don't know nearly as much before it releases, so that stops data miners, but you know, it happens. It's okay. But this is definitely going to help keep everything fresh and everything new, and that way we don't already know everything before everything is released, and so it's going to be cool. It's going to be a really cool difference as to how they release information from now on. But so let's go ahead and jump right in to what we know so far and what we think that it means for the future. So let's go ahead and start by looking at the initial trailer that was posted in January, and we're going to combine it a little bit with the direct that was posted the other day. Now, a lot of information was given to us, so let's go ahead and break all of that down. We start with some quick shots that are kind of difficult to see what's going on, but you can definitely make out the legendary bird trio. This definitely is huge. You know, when that first came out, seeing that they are going to be adding Pokemon from previous titles. The legendary birds make sense. They were already in Let's Go, so everything's already ready for them to just be ported over. However, we're definitely gonna see they're gonna be a little bit more important later. Next we see a glimpse of some new Pokemon around some older looking shrines and buildings and that sort of thing. And they stand out because they definitely look like new Regis. They've got all the dots on their faces and that sort of thing, and it's definitely confirmed when we see Mr. Masuda pointing at a Registeel, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so finally then we see Talonflame. And so Talonflame is pretty important because now we definitely know, okay, they're bringing back some Pokemon that weren't in the game already. This is about to be really, really interesting. So this is about the time that I started getting really excited and started just wanting to know more and more and more. And so now we start seeing some concept art, right? We see some concept art of some new G-Max forms, which people didn't really notice until later. And then we see Slowpoke. We see Slowpoke evolving into Slowbro, but we can't see everything about Slowbro. But one thing to note about Slowbro is there is no Shelter on its tail. It did not evolve because a Shelter came up and bit it. So we're going to definitely have a different evolution method, which we already know is going to be via a stone, but we also now know that it's going to be a different typing. Galarian Slowpoke is not a water type. It is a pure psychic type, and so my prediction for going into this is it is going to be psychic and dark. Same thing as Malamar. And so I think it's going to be pretty cool. You know, I don't have any other information to go on because I don't know what the item is going to be called. I don't know what its head looks like, but I'm predicting dark type That's what I'm calling. Next, we see a lot of the art that has to do with the dojo, which we get a lot more information about in this most recent direct. We now know that the dojo is run by Master Mustard. He then gives you a Cubfu, the very cute legendary boy, who will then evolve into a different form of Urshifu depending on which tower you decide to conquer, the Tower of Darkness or the Tower of Waters. We also know that depending on which you choose, it will determine what Gigantamax form you take on, which it seemed to make me think that it was going to be Gigantamaxed, but now that I've looked at it a little bit more as to what their in-game sprite looks like, I'm not convinced that it's going to actually be Gigantamax. It just looks too similar to its regular form to where it would be a Gigantamax, but I don't know, maybe. Leave that one down below in the comments whether you think that it's a Gigantamax form or not. Additionally, we then see it use Darkest Lariat and Giga Impact, one for each form. This seems to suggest that it doesn't have a signature move, because that would have been the time to show it off, I feel like. But, you know, that's just me. That's how I would have done the trailer. Now, depending on stats, though, I think that Single Strike is going to be stronger than the Rapid Strike. Dark and Fighting is just a really awesome offensive typing. You know, Pangoro has it, but the problem with Pangoro is it is just so slow. Urshifu seems to be decently quick, and so I think that with it having a decent attack stat and a decent speed, I mean, it's definitely got to be faster than Pangoro, then I think that it is going to be more than enough to be a very strong threat. Now, Rapid Strike style is going to be the same typing as Keldeo in Water Fighting. Now, I did originally think that it was going to be a special variant, but after seeing it use Giga Impact, I'm not really sure what I think about it. If it is special, it's going to basically be the exact same thing as Keldeo, you know, being high special attack, high speed with the Water Fighting typing. What might set it apart, though, is possibly having a better moveset. I'm kind of thinking that this thing is going to be physical now, and that will definitely make it a little bit different, but I definitely think that it'll have better physical stats. It'll probably have at least comparable speed, maybe slightly slower, but definitely a better move pool. So I'm excited to see that. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. The only downside is that you're only going to be able to get one or the other in your copy of the game. So you'll definitely have to have another copy of the game in order to get both, or borrow one from your friend, or steal one from your friend, or whatever you got to do. I'm not condoning stealing, I'm just saying that might be how you get it. You know, most people have access to 2 copies, or at least know somebody, so there you go, that's how you'll get both of them. We then get confirmation of Volcarona, Kingdra, Dedenne, and Lycanroc, which is pretty cool. These are all Pokemon that are pretty much fan favorites, I would say. Volcarona is one that I really wished was in the game already, and it is going to love heavy-duty boots. Kingdra, very strong. You know, you have Sniper, you have Swift Swim, so it hits like a truck. It's got a great move pool. I think it's going to be awesome. Dedenne is just a cute boy. He's great. I love him. And Lycanroc. Lycanroc really wasn't all that great in the previous games. I see them possibly being okay, not the Dusk form, not the Dark form, but I think the other 2 forms might be okay, and I'm excited to see how they do. We then have the announcement of Gmax Venusaur and Gmax Blastoise. This I was not expecting. I knew they were definitely going to be in the game because of the data mine, but I didn't think they would get Gmax forms. I don't like Venusaurs all that much. It looks bulky, which is cool, but like the Mega looks better. Now my prediction is cool. Now listen to this. A Grass type move, duh, that also sets up Leech Seed. I think that it's going to happen. I think it's awesome. I think it'll definitely help this thing be really bulky, and I think it matches its design. Blastoise, I have no idea, but he looks awesome. I love all the water guns coming out of the shell, but what I would love to see is a new kind of status that it shoots out a bunch of water onto the ground and maybe causes a lowering of speed, possibly a lowering of accuracy, something like that. You know, they're like slipping around on the water or something like that. I don't know, it might be lame, but that's my thoughts on it. Some kind of new like entry hazard, kind of like what we had with Steel Surge. If they can do that, they can do something like that. Then we get the Galar starters, which is also cool. I like their designs. Well, I like 2 of their designs. I don't like the other one. Rillaboom with the sick drum kit. We also know what their moves do now. Their moves are G-Max Drum Solo, which ignores opponent's ability. And spoiler alert, all of them ignore opponent's ability, which is kind of lame. I feel like they should have done more with that, but oh well. Then Cinderace can use G-Max Fireball. I'm not so hot on its design. It just looks like a bigger version of Cinderace. Sorry, buddy. And then we've got Inteleon. Inteleon looks awesome. You know, it uses its tail as a sniper tower and then just makes itself a little like tube and then shoots out of its finger onto the ground at whatever is. It's so cool. I love it. So yeah, that's about all we know about Isle of Armor. And I'm excited though. I think it's absolutely awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing how they balance the new storyline, just so you're not running through, you know. I do like that in order to complete the towers, you can only bring Kubfu, but what about getting to the towers? Can he just kind of sit in the back of the team and gain experience while your full level 100 team just mows down everything? I hope not. I really hope not, but you know, either way, I'm hyped for this new adventure, and I can't wait to try out all of these returning boys. Alright, lastly, let's talk briefly about Crown Tundra. So we don't have all that much information about it, but we have enough to where I think it's at least worth talking about. We do know that it's located to the south of the Galar region proper, and it appears to be just snow everywhere. There's a few like grassy areas, but it definitely seems mostly snowy, which makes sense. And it seems to be a lot of old buildings and shrines, which seems to suggest that it's like an ancient people that's been either gone or away or something for a long time, and then a legendary Pokemon looks over it, which we will get to in just a minute. But it looks like a lot of it really hasn't been touched in a long time. And this then further is shown by the Regis. We see all 3 of our original Regis, which is absolutely awesome to see. I love those guys. I love that they're coming back. We see 1 shrine for each of them, and then we see a new shrine that is cut in half. We've got a red side and a yellow side, and then we see why. We see the new electric Reggie first, and this guy I am excited about. He seems to be pure electric type. You know, all of them are pure typing. And he looks fast. He looks like a really fast offensive Reggie, which is not something that we've seen out of them before. And my prediction is basically a repeat of Electros, pure electric, and it has levitate because it doesn't have feet. All of the other ones have feet. So I think this thing's going to be a monster because that is such a good offensive typing and ability in combination with it. Now we do have a couple of things that get Mold Breaker, and that's okay, but like overall, I think this thing is going to be really, really strong, and I am so excited to use it. Next, we see the Dragon type Reggie, and it's got a G-Max Charizard skull as arms, which is weird, but I like it. It's such a cool thing. Now, one thing that a lot of people missed is in the bottom left-hand corner, we see the jaws, but they're a lot closer together, as if they're like chomping something. This seems to suggest that he's just going to be able to like run up to you and just like chomp your face, while I guess like the main part of the body shrinks back or something like that. So jaw lock confirmed. Yeah, probably. I'm calling it. I definitely see him having a high attack, okay speed, okay defenses, but definitely going to be one of those like absolute powerhouses if he can get set up and then get in. Yeah, middle of the road, tank Reggie. It'll be cool. Now we see what I am most excited for, and that is Galarian Slowking. Galarian Slowking looks absolutely sick because he's a friggin' vampire. I love it. He's so cool. He's definitely going to be Psychic Poison. He could be Ghost, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be Poison because if you look at how they've scribbled out his face, they scribble out his mouth and then above that one eye. So I think they're trying to cover up fangs from showing that it is based on a vampire, and then you see the eye just to be like, oh look, he's looking at you, and then they cover up whatever's on his head. I think that he's going to be a vampire, and it's so cool. I love it. So next we get confirmation of Aurorus, Nidorino, Celio, and Garchomp. Also awesome. Garchomp is one of my favorite Pokemon. I'm so glad he's coming back, but he's also really, really, really strong, so he's going to be busted when he comes back. Finally, we get the Galarian Legendary Birds, which I think is one of the like biggest reveals that we had of the whole thing. Articuno looking like Frozone, I see you. I think he's going to be Ice Ghost, which is pretty cool. Same typing as Frostlass, but I think it's going to be really cool. I think all the birds are actually going to lose their flying typing, which I'm totally okay with. That's what makes them so weak to rocks, and so possibly this will be why they get better. I see these forms being way better than their Cantonian counterparts. Zapdos turns into a Roadrunner, and I see him being either Electric Fighting or Electric Dark. I'm definitely leaning towards Fighting, and the reason is because I think we have Ghost on Articuno, we have then Fighting on Zapdos, and then with Moltres, I think we have Dark. So, and those three typings are kind of a little bit of a trilogy there, and so they just kind of complement each other. I see him being a dark type, which is so cool. I love Moltres' design. He just looks evil, but it's so cool. I love it. He might retain his flying typing, but I kind of doubt it. He might, go with fire and dark and then still have levitate just because he's off the ground, but I kind of think he's going to be fire and dark and just lose that typing. So the final thing that we see in this trailer is Calyrex. Now Calyrex is the new grass type guardian. Think like Celebi kind of thing, and it's definitely like watching over the entire place. And yes, that's a Triforce on the Pokemon, and I'm not really sure why there's a Triforce on him. But it's cool. I like his design. I think he's really interesting. I think it's going to be one of those like super intelligent Pokemon. It just fights very methodically, very slowly, a very strong special attacker. So yeah, that's going to be all the new info we have about the Pokemon DLC. I hope you guys are just as excited for it as I am, and I can't wait to cover it as soon as it drops. But until then, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos between now and then, and make sure to comment your thoughts down below. Let me know if you agree with any of my predictions or if you think I'm just completely off. Either way, I hope you guys have a great day, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!